For the love of the game. For the love of the game.
Welcome to another episode of For the Love of the Game. And today we have a special edition. Today we got a special guest that we're going to go and have like a spirited discussion. Some might even say a debate today. We're going to have a back and forth. My brother, Coach Fowler, is going to be moderating. Amen. And so for that reason, Coach Fowler, I kick it over to you, my brother.
Man, every time I watch the presidential debates, I'm always like, man, I wish I could be that person because they never seem to get it right. You know what I'm saying? so either I'm gonna get it right or I'm gonna learn the hard way. You know,
you're not fact checking.
Listen, I might fact check before we air this thing, but no, I won't be able to fact check as quickly as they do. Or whatnot, but no, this is gonna be fun, man. You know, when Tony mentioned it to me, I thought, man, it's a great new piece for our comeback episodes. So hopefully, John, we can get you more than just this time. We'd like to do this maybe once a month, if possible. I know you do your own you have your own somewhat of a podcast, but you do some videos where you speak on topics and sometimes they're controversial and they fired Tony up enough to where he wants to get involved with you. So we're gonna bring it for the love of the game. So
I share him too. I share him as well many times.
Absolutely. And they're out there for disagreement. I'm never saying I'm right. I have 26 years coaching basketball and been in the game my whole life. I see things from a different point of view now that I'm off the bench.
Right.
It's hot takes, man. You know, it's the name of the game in sports and in a lot of things, but definitely in sports. So you know, it's meant to be controversial sometimes. So, but the way this is going to work, you know, this is going to be segment one. We're going to have 4 rounds. I'm going to do my best to keep you guys on time, but if it's going well, you know, we'll just see how it goes. But each of you get about 2 or 3 minutes on each of the topics, and we'll decide if it's worth allowing you to give a response when somebody else. So we'll go from there. But the topic, and I think maybe John, you've already kind of spoke on this. It's stop promoting your kid and chasing attention, and focus on development. So that's gonna be the topic. And for round one, is promoting your daughter actually a problem? All right. So that's the first question that we're going with, is promoting your daughter actually a problem? And Tony, you get to go first. So I'm going to go ahead and set the timer for you, man.
And timer.
I'm going to set the timer, and you can go, man.
All right. Now, here's my central point that I like to make, and this is what kind of, it bothered me. And I would say there's a broader concern that I have with some of your think pieces, and then there's a more pointed concern. My broader concern is I think Coach Orr is part of a cottage industry that loves to tear up parents and is highly critical of parents and is always always kind of nitpicking at parents. However, I want to make that a little more narrow. Development and promotion are 2 separate, distinct activities that are not inherently in competition with one another. To use a sophisticated phrase, they are orthogonal. Okay, so which means they're not necessarily in competition with one another. Promotion becomes harmful when it replaces, when it distorts, or when it interferes with development. I want to be real clear. My position is not promotion is as important as development. That is not my position. My position is development comes first. Responsible promotion can coexist, but with serious development first. So the formula should be development, then performance, then evidence, then exposure. So something to kind of keep in mind. Promotion gets the attention, performance validates the attention, but then development creates the performance. And I just want to say this early. John, I agree with you that development has to come first. If a parent is chasing rankings and followers and showcases and attention while the kid isn't getting any better, the parent has lost the plot. The parent has lost the plot. Where I disagree is that sometimes when you are flipping through and you hear all of this criticism, because as a parent, you already are like, there's only one book that helps you on how to do this. It is the Bible. And guess what? Like, you don't get any of this perfect. And as I'm trying to do my best to become a parent, sometimes when I turn on Instagram and that cottage industry of coaches, of a lot of coaches that are always telling you what you're doing wrong. You know what I'm saying? And where I disagree is when the criticism becomes a blanket indictment of ambitious parents or treats promotion and development as automatically competing activities. I go and I make sure my daughter trains 6 days a week, and either my wife and I are rebounding or we got her from a trainer. The time that I spend promoting them is a separate time where I'm sitting and laying on the bed doing AI and chopping up video, which is not the same time that is used to develop my child. So that's just the opening thought that I had that I wanted to share.
All right, John, you got 3 minutes.
So you hit the nail on the head with first of all, the Bible being, I agree 100% on that. And the problem is not promotion, it is over promotion. Some of these parents, these kids don't need to be in every showcase. They don't need to be in every tournament. They don't need to be in every team. It's the over promotion that the issue comes in. I look at like 10 to 1. For every one time you're going to promote your kid, you need to have at least 10 times of development. The other thing about promoting is I'm a huge Seinfeld fan. One of my favorite Seinfeld episodes is the ugly baby episode. Parents are always going to, where the baby is ugly and the parents think they're gorgeous and everybody around us trying to beat around the bush. Parents see their kids in a different light. And sometimes that hurts their child. When I get emails or messages about, you got to see this kid, this, that, and the other, she's going to go Division I, you're putting a spotlight on your child that is not there. And people like me, and I don't know cottage industry. If you saw what I make, I spend more in this job than I make it. But when you look at that, you tend to look harder. So sometimes promoting your kid or over promoting, what do you want to call it, is harmful to the child. The best promotion you can do is honestly support your child. But when you're constantly, you got to see her, constantly hitting me up when I don't mention her in one of my lists or I don't do that, that's the problem. When you're messaging scouts and messaging coaches constantly, that's the problem. When you have a higher level of where your child should be. I know a high school right now that sent, they reached out to me, I won't name names, they sent the JV conditioning workouts for a rising freshman, and the girl's dad had the audacity to email the coach, say, don't email me anymore, my daughter will be playing varsity. When you get to that level of promotion, that's a problem because you're putting undue pressure on your child. You're all for being proud and promoting your child, but make sure the development is there as well. It's like watching a bad movie. It's been hyped up, all great and fantastic, but what you see doesn't deliver. And when you're doing that and you're not in direct control of the results, you're harming your child. That's why I tell parents, focus on what you can control. Focus on the development. Focus on getting them better mentally, physically, and spiritually. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to stop chasing this ball. But the goal should be long-term athletic development, not a signing day where you go play college ball. That's why I ping hard on hyping your kids up.
It looks like both of you guys agree on the development piece, right?
Absolutely.
So where I think there's where there's a little distancing, what y'all agree on is what actually is good promotion. I mean, so you say promotion every time. For every one promotion, you should be doing 10 times development.
Absolutely.
Is posting highlights promoting? I mean, you also mentioned that, calling scouts and reaching out to scouts, people reaching out to you and those type of things. When is that okay? Is that okay? And what is actually good promotion tactics?
I'm always on board with reaching out to scouts. I encourage parents. That's why one thing I put out. If you're in middle school, reach out to me, show me your highlights. know when to reach out to them. Sophomore, junior, senior year, and I'm willing to bet with the transfer portal changing, it might even be later in high school. But that is one of the things I always say watching out for scouts. Or reaching out to scouts. Highlights, I just did a video on this, and this is Coach Jon speaking, and I've never understood why this became a thing. People showing everything on their highlights. Why are you showing everything you're working on, every move, every offensive set? You're pretty much giving a playbook on how to stop you. So highlights, I'm always be careful about it. But if we'll use your daughter, if she's working a cross into a step back and she's showing all summer that shot, when she gets out on the circuit next year, don't you think somebody's going to know how to prevent that? Why are you why are you showing your whole hand before it's out there? Highlights are cool within reason, but you don't show everything. From reaching out to scouts when you're college coaches, 10th, 11th, to 12th grade is cool. 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th grade might be an issue you want to stop. I mean, I can't tell you the unnerving times I've been at combines, and I've had somebody want me to meet their 9-year-old daughter, and I'm going, this young lady's not even been through puberty. She's not even in middle school. Why are you putting this pressure on her right now? It's a science, and it also goes back to, does the kid even want this? A lot of parents, I don't really think, and I've been bad about it with my daughter in theater and music, so I can speak from experience. I don't think parents sometimes hear their kids. I don't think, and we've seen the kids who don't want to be out there, and their parents are acting insane. We've seen the kids on these teams that don't want to be out there. I don't think parents are necessarily listening to their children either, in some cases. And at the end of the day, like I've said 1,000 times, it's their journey. All we are, I mean, Tony made it kind of imply I don't like sports parents. That's not the case. I mean, without sports parents, youth sports wouldn't exist. God knows 60% of y'all's checking account goes to youth sports. I'm aware of that. But it's your kid's journey. You can't control it. So when the parents are getting overzealous with it and it's very obvious the kid's not feeling it, that's a problem, because at the end of the day, 70% of kids are walking away from youth sports at the age of 13. And when asked, it's because it's just not fun anymore. That's the biggest problem with this.
What you got in response, Tony?
Yeah, I think you're guilty of a straw man argument there. You have these. As a scout, you have to sometimes deal with the worst of the worst, and you see the worst of the people, and you have this machine gun with your platform that is kind of taking broad shots regarding like all of the parents that are out there. So 80% of the things you just said, I agree with. It's your kid's journey. Listening to them, I regularly try to ask my kids, hey, do you want to continue? Even after the bad games, I give them an opt out. I said, hey, listen, this is going to be tougher to opt out as you get farther along. Let me know now. Is this your goal or is this my goal? I try to put that back onto them. But I share that with you is that it seems like there's a lot of parents out there who do need good advice, do need some good encouragement. But then, we have this broad thing of, and that's why I even created the little term, the Cycle Sports Dad. I created it kind of like as a meme because we parents are being called this all the time. And I said, well, let me just embrace it then. Let me just lean into it. And the reason why I lean into it, and I will share this, all three of us know the number is 1.4%. Only 1.4% continues on to play after high school.
Probably getting lower.
Yeah. So the thing about it is, if you want to accomplish something and you want to do something extraordinary, and if the kid wants to do something extraordinary, it takes extraordinary effort. And sometimes I feel like as that extraordinary effort, you're going to push the limits. You're going to be a little uncomfortable. You're going to have moments where the whole family is tired and the whole family is miserable, and when it's not going to always be rosy. And also, I'll just say this. I would probably say a lot of these, I pay attention And I watch the kids that make it, and they all have a dad that's behind them. A lot of them have a dad that's behind them. That yes, the kid may have wanted it, but the dad was pushing, and the dad helped the kid get there. So it's real easy for us to go and just begin to criticize people who are doing extraordinary things. And I just want to say, if you want to get something extraordinary accomplished, sometimes you have to be. And one thing I ain't gonna do is my kid worked for 6 days a week, 90 minutes a day, and she's doing that on her own without me pushing her. And then I'm not gonna go and let the world know about it. I'm gonna let the world. If my baby's working that hard and she's doing good things, I want to do what I can to promote it. And while there is a scientific thing about development regarding how to get your kid noticed, there's no one who has that mastered. There's no one who has that of what line is too much when it comes to promoting your kid. Sorry for going over there, Coach Fowler.
No, you're good.
I would like a rebuttal to that.
Okay.
Well, also answer this while you're doing it, John, because you are kind of one of the people that people want to get attention from, right? You work for Prep Girl Hoops. You're a scout. So kind of when is it annoying and when do you open one of those things and say, okay, I'm glad that person reached out, and when do you open it and be like, oh my gosh, leave me alone? But you can rebut and then add that in there as well.
So as the accusation of a straw man argument here, and not everybody's like that. Now, they know you as Tony Speaks. I also know you as Pastor Tony. My question would be to that is, when you conduct your sermons for church, do you program it for one person, or do you speak for everybody to hear it and let one, or hoping it gets to the one or two people that are supposed to hear it? That's how I'm looking at it. And usually the ones that get offended or upset about it or bite back are the ones whose toes got a little stepped on there. I'm not implying you, but I'm just speaking how it is. What I look at in terms of a scout, I love the eye test. I get blistered all the time when I do my list because I didn't include somebody I didn't see. I love the true eye test. That's just me. I can see what I see. I can see what's in front of me. Only time it really gets annoying is if I'm clearly observing somebody and like very obviously and they want to pull me somewhere else. They want to come drag me to their kid. Or I've said before, I could ruin a bunch of travel coaches' reputations of when I walk up to talk to a player after a game and they try and sell me on their child. Or other things like that. The only time it becomes annoying is when you're trying to pull me away or tell me how to think or tell me what to see or tell me what I should be looking for in a player. And the only time it becomes uncomfortable is, and I've had this, I actually stopped one parent and I was like, think about this. I had a lady I barely knew grab me by the wrist and like walk me with barely saying something to meet her 12-year-old daughter. And I'm going, in what world is this normal? But I love seeing the footage because you see things that you don't see. I love seeing what I'm looking for. I love the surprises. Like I'll say her name because now I won't say her name because she's still in the recruiting system. But I always make a point to see it in person. But when it becomes annoying is when you give honest feedback to a parent and they want to tell you you're wrong. That's why I tell parents when they reach out to me, be careful when you ask for feedback from a coach or scout. Make sure you want honest feedback. You don't want your opinion coming out of their mouth. Because I get emails, parents have asked me for my feedback, and I've given honest feedback like, rising 10th grader doesn't have a left hand. She's 5'3", kind of slow to the ball. No, I don't see her playing Division II basketball. Maybe junior college. And I'll get an email cussing me out that I don't know anything. And I'm going, but you just asked me my opinion. I took time out of this. That's when it gets annoying and uncomfortable. Other than that, though, it's part of the job. I laugh at the DMs. I said all the time when I'm done with this book, or I'm done with this part of my life and I move on, I'm going to publish a book of all the nasty DMs I've gotten and the things I've gotten because it's comical. And I understand that parents want the best for their kids. They're proud of their kids. I mean, I would be concerned if you weren't passionate about and supporting of your kid, but you got to know the limits. You've got to understand that it's not just your kid. You're competing against hundreds of thousands of kids, millions of kids across the world. That's why I say when we go to tryouts, the best thing a parent can do is, besides leave. I always say the best thing as a parent you can do is leave. But if not, watch other kids. Don't watch your child. See what they're up against. Because even if they make that team, you need to see what they're competing in on that team.
All right.
Tony, you got anything for that one?
Yeah, he has a question, so I wanted to ask. One thing I learned in messaging as a preacher really early on, and not just as a preacher, but as a speaker, period, and it was actually a DOD guy. You know this guy. His name was the Dice Man. He used to go and do Dice Man, OPSEC stuff. You probably had him as well.
He's still doing it.
Yeah. Up in Pennsylvania. Yeah, and my point is this. He would say, don't focus on the 10% of the people in the audience that ain't paying attention, because you're never going to be able to change them anyway.
The Dice Man.
You know what I'm saying? And my point is, the real psycho parents, they ain't going to listen to Jon Orr anyway. The real psycho, the real crazy ones, I know, I won't say their names, but I can think of one real crazy one right now.
We all can.
The real psycho one, they're not listening to Jon Orr anyway. Tony Harris is listening to Jon Orr. And when I'm listening and I hear like this criticism, you know, you kind of go and be like, man, can the parents are the one paying for all of this? Seem like we can't do nothing right. You know what I'm saying? And one last point I want to make regarding this is this. And I love you, brother Jon. I would say I like 60% of all the stuff you put out. But I will share this. I think it's a little rich when you go and you post rankings and then you ask people to send in the stuff to get attention from you, and then you still say, stop seeking attention.
It's different. No, I'm not asking for that. I don't care. I love that. I get aggravated when I'll read a DM, and I'm gonna preface it because I saved it. Let me figure. I don't mind that because that gives me more people to look at. It's when they come at me with, "Your black A don't know F what you talking about. You missing my baby. Whoa. You just another ignorant in. Whoa. Learn your position."
Whoa. Yeah.
That is when I'm like, whoa. Now, why am I even looking at you? But I ask for names because I want to see other kids. My rankings, like I'll say her name right now. There's a player in Hampton Roads, Josiah Babb. She is nationally ranked. She is the freshman player of the year, class 5 in Virginia. I've not evaluated her. Why? Because I've never seen her play. So I look for names to go look at. My rankings are just things I've seen. But my point is, with that, is I don't just go talk about parents. I talk about players. I talk about coach conduct. I talk about the overall thing as well. Because basketball is one of the few sports that there's no government. It's the Wild West. And who's losing out? It's kids. I went to 6 different national championship tournaments this year. 6. Why? It's the kids that, so you implying I just call out parents. I call out everybody because I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I hear you. That's fair. I've seen you call that out. I would just say this, man. Prep girl hoops as a whole, like the money, because I want to give my kid notice. You know what I'm saying? And I want to know what's whole prep girl hoops model exists off of parents trying to get their kid notice. So then, like, to hear the guy who writes a lot of the scouting stuff say, "Hey, you need to stop trying to get your kid so much attention." You know,
prep girls hoops exist for players to get themselves noticed.
Yeah.
It's not the parent. I mean,
but who's paying?
I said parents are the consumers,
yeah,
but it's designed for the player to get themselves noticed.
Coach Fowler paying. You know, Tony.
I'm stuck on because I know how much I'm making in the article. I got to talk to some people. I got to talk to some people about it. But it still comes down to the kid. It's like it comes down to what the child does. It doesn't matter what mom and dad does. I'm not going to. I'm not going to write an article. That's why one of the things I say when I go to high schools. Now, you want to pay for me to get into one of those tournaments? By all means, I ain't spending $100 to get in if I got to. But when I go to high schools, I make sure I pay for myself because I don't want to be influenced. It's the kid's job to get noticed,
Right.
and my problem is, and why I go out like I do is because basketball is the Wild West. We're the only one that really doesn't answer to a body. And I'll maintain certain things. I will maintain to the day I die. Not everybody should be playing travel ball. That's not their fault because wrecks the wasteland. Not everybody should be around coaching kids. And at the end of the day, it is about your child. It is about what your kid wants. And you said something that stuck with me the last time we met about voting with your dollars. Voting with your feet. If your kid is not meeting that expectation of the money you're putting in, you got to go. You move on.
I will make two counterpoints. I'll give you salute because I saw you on your page as I was getting ready for this. I saw your boxing skills, all right? And you got some really good boxing skills, amen?
How long did you go back for that?
I don't know, but I was just researching, all right? And my point is I have started trying to get where I ain't there yet, but I'm trying to get there. You know why? Because I have to, once every 18 months, I have to deal with, in the stands, one of the parents that you have to deal with on a regular basis. And, the dude that texted you all the crazy mess. Every 18 months, I run into a parent like that. And that's why I've had to start doing some daggone Muay Thai because, something might pop off and, Henrico Sports Center, you see what I'm saying? And I ain't been.
We want to go viral, Tony, but not for that, man. Not for that.
Yeah, and I ain't been.
John, I don't ask for much, but let me be at that tournament when it happens.
I ain't been in a real fight since '93. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I'm doing the daggone Muay Thai because I have to run into those dudes as well. All I'm sharing with you, Brother John, is I think you have to deal with the worst of basketball society sometimes, and I just don't think it really captures most. Matter of fact, to be honest with you, this is something I think me and Coach Fowler see. There's a lot of parents out there who it's the opposite. They want their kid to get the D1 scholarship and they don't want to do the commitment. They're not the psycho sports parents. They want to give a C-level commitment and then they want to give a community college commitment and then they want a D1 scholarship for their kid. So I see the opposite, so I just kind of think about you have to deal with the worst and just kind of keep in mind all of us ain't like this. So when you are going off on parents, just kind of keep in mind all of us ain't like that. You see what I'm saying?
I've never implied that.
Okay. Now, the second point I want to make is the biggest lie in a movie or in marketing is if you build it, they will come. That's the biggest lie. Because I'll say this right now. This podcast.
Great movie, though.
Great movie, but it's a lie. You see what I'm saying? And because there's a whole lot of dope stuff out there that has not been marketed effectively and gets ignored. I know a whole bunch of women in church that can sing a whole lot better than Beyonce and Jennifer Hudson and a whole bunch of other people. They just ain't never been marketed. Matter of fact, truth be told, I'm not trying to be arrogant, but there is a podcast that has a whole lot more viewers in Virginia than me and Coach Fowler. And they got a whole lot more viewers than me and Coach Fowler. But then when I listen to it, man, it's like, to me, it's like watching paint dry. It's like, oh, Lord, how did he get all them viewers? Cause, just because he's been, I won't say his name, but just boring as far as, but guess what? He got some connections. got some marketing, and he's got, I think, 700 subscribers or whatever. So I'll just share this with you. I do believe it's alive. You build it, it will come. So then that's why after I pay for all that development, I think, if you're paying for all that development and you are working with your kid, all that development, I think it'd be foolish not to go and spend that extra time on social media, not to go and now I haven't gotten to the stage. I don't bother any of y'all scouts, so I don't call. Matter of fact, I think you've seen me brag on other kids. I ain't never gone to you bragged on Courtney and Nadia.
You were one of the two that answered that poll I put out.
Yeah, so I haven't done that yet. I need to get to that point. I feel weird doing that, but I do on social media promote my kids. And my point is this: I think there's a good prime example. There's a reason why there are players who are undrafted that they go undrafted and we find out about them. What's the name of the kid on the Lakers who just got the big contract?
Well, I always think of Ben Wallace when you talk about undrafted.
What's the name of the white kid on?
Yeah, it's not Connect. It's the other
Rivers.
Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves. Yeah,
Reeves.
That kid. Yeah, I don't think he did not have the marketing that other kids had, and that's why they found out about him later. So my point is this: I don't want that to happen to my kids. So yeah, I will say this: we do development first, and I pay a pretty penny for all of the and I ain't rich, so but I still pay that pretty penny for all them trainers, and my wife and I will get out there and be slow and rebound for our babies and everything else, do the best we can when the trainers aren't available. But that's the foundation. But I don't want it after I do all of that because I did not sell, or I did not promote, have my kid missed.
It's the way you promote. And by the way, I'm willing to pay your trainer for boxing to bring a live chicken in and have you chase it around like Rocky. I'll pay for your session if he does. But it's how you promote too. Like I'm beyond genetics. I think in my personal opinion, beyond genetics, you know what the biggest factor in getting the Division I scholarship is, I believe? Luck. You have to be in the right place at the right time. I have a nephew that proved it. He was getting D3 offers for football, and then he went to a event with his godbrother who had signed with Florida State, and he performed well. It's a lot of this luck, right place, right time. But it's how you promote. It's how you do it. There's a way to do it. And I even shot a video on that. Like you have to sell yourself like a business. It sounds gross and I hate saying it, but a lot of the promotion and the way you promote is not the way it should be done. The one of the things I say, and I've talked to coaches, is don't just send highlight. Don't just send scoring. Unless you are an ESPN top 100, top 10 recruit, if you go to a college as a freshman and you're the number one scoring option, you're going to have a rough year. But it's how it's done. It's how you conduct yourself. And a lot of it is beyond what you're talking about. Development is the biggest thing. You have to develop your kids. We beat that over the head. But promotion has to be done right. Because just like you said, if you build it, will come. Yes, if you're good enough, you can be found. I still believe that. But you got to get to the right places. But with development, it has to be done in a way that, and I lost my train of thought. With development, it has to be done in a way that develops the whole player, not just one way or the other. And unfortunately, the biggest development that gets lost in college ball is in the classroom.
Let me just share this point. And this is the only time I'm going to edit. I'll edit out a name. I'm going to edit out a name because I don't want us three to know this name that I'm going to edit. But the name is important for me to say because it makes the point. The only other person where I yell at the screen more than you is there's a guy that I interviewed before. His name is selling all of these courses where he's saying basically if you build it, they will come. And I'm yelling at the screen because I'm like, brother, you 6'10" and you grew up on the lap of John Thompson, and your dad.
Did he play ball?
Huh?
He play ball?
He played semi-pro ball, and he played for Georgetown. So what I'm trying to say is for And yeah, if you're 6'10" and your daddy is, then yeah, if you build it, it will come. You see what I'm saying? But if your babies are 5'4", 5'5", 5'6", you see what I'm saying? Then they have to be. I hate using this term. They have to be a demon on the court, and then they also need a daddy that's going to promote them.
But we're looking at it as all or nothing, which I think is a huge problem in life in general, politically, religiously, everything. We're all or nothing, one or the other. Two things can't be the same. I think where people get lost in the shuffle is no, you can't just sit in. I'll use my city for example, Virginia Beach, play high school ball in Virginia Beach. As far as you travel as Boo Williams, which is a great program, and get noticed for we'll use Virginia, University of Virginia, have the University of Virginia noticed. But you also don't have to go to every single showcase, combine, play in every tournament, go to every event, and constantly be out there either. That is detrimental as well. That's even more detrimental, I think, because A, you're wearing your body out. B, you start showing the more you're out in the open, the more flaws in your game get shown. It's like being on a test drive with a car. The longer that's why you ever notice when you go on a test drive for a car, there's a short area they take you to drive because they want you to really go out there and find all the problems. We have this mentality, it's all or nothing.
Right.
And it's got to be somewhere in the middle. Like I'm completely anti kids playing all year or year round. I'm anti the whole tournament circuit. I hate the fact that you have kids playing 4 or 5 games over a weekend and only practicing once. But basketball has been all or nothing. And it should be in the middle.
Right.
That's where burnout and injuries come.
So for the sake of time, I have kind of lost my moderator role.
Oh yeah, we fired you. He didn't get.
Yeah, I got fired a long time ago, man. But I've allowed you to go back and forth because the conversation has been solid. But I think at this point now, what we're doing is beating a dead horse because I do believe that both of you guys have kind of come up, kind of agreed with the formula that the development is first.
Yes.
And then I think that we've also established that then from the development comes performance, and then exposure comes after that. It's just the level of exposure, how the exposure comes. So we're talking about parents and parent involvement. How involved should parents be? Players owning their own exposure and promoting themselves, and then kind of John just touched on it. How often you should be playing and who you should be in front of that matters. And I think that's good because what if your daughter is good enough but nobody knows? How do you balance that? So this is going to be the final question.
Oh.
This is the final question of the debate. How do you balance that? So what is the balance here? Tony, you kind of have that stance that it's okay for the parent to be that involved. The parent almost needs to be that involved because they're advocating for their child. And again, you've mentioned it on this podcast, and I feel like you've said it today. There's a lot of money at stake because it would be unfortunate. I'm kind of recapping here. It would be unfortunate for you to miss an opportunity because you didn't promote enough. And then John is saying you can promote too much because John has received emails and text messages of people actually being a little bit too much. I'll say that DM that you read us was too much. But so where's the balance? We have development, performance, exposure.
Right.
But where is the balance? What is going to too much? What is playing too much? And what is seeking attention? When does it become seeking attention rather than actual promotion of the player and trying to get exposure? All right. So Tony, you're first,
right.
And we're gonna go 3 minutes. We'll bounce back a couple times, but we'll start with just 3 minutes.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna even need 3 minutes. And I will say this: I think here's something good about this discussion. is I think sometimes you can have different perspectives depending on what you're experiencing at the time. John is having to deal with butthole parents who are very extreme, and I'm thankful for this conversation because I will yell at the screen much less because now I'm kind of keeping in mind that some of John's takes is after he's dealing with those butthole parents. Two times I've almost had to fight in the stands those same butthole parents. You see what I'm saying? So I understand his perspective a lot better. I just hope he kind of I'm hoping that this conversation he can kind of understand, the psycho parents' perspective as well, because Coach Fowler and I have an almost, we're putting a lot on the line, and there's a lot of money on the line. There's a lot of time on the line. There's a lot of everything on the line, and sometimes when you hear and you're trying to get something extraordinary accomplished, and then you go and you begin to hear some of these conversations on the periphery, it can kind of really it at the end of a work day when you've already been training with your kid, in the same way that these psycho parents can drive you crazy, some of these cottage industries of criticism can drive me crazy. You know what I mean? Now, with that being said, let me get to what Coach Fowler said, and I'll be real quick.
Yeah. Little sister, whole arena knows your name. Hazel eyes locked in, cool as a flame. You walk in the room, lean in your direction. Smile on the sideline, then it switch to perfection. Hands up, hoodie off, game face on. You catch that pass like the world was gone. Clock winding down and start to panic. You stay calm, cold-blooded, fantastic. One step left, and you rise. Read the room with those hazel eyes. Nadia Salah, Nadia Salah. Little sister, you the headline. Nadia Salah, Nadia Salah. From deep in the whole crowd shine. Hazel like assassin, perfect little terror. Life for the party, make the night wear better. No one does it cuter, no one does it better. Nadia Salah, Nadia Salah. Corner 3, net talk back clean. Fast break green, you make it look mean. Laugh so loud, got the bench in sync. Then you drain one more and don't even blink. You bring the spark.
I think I'll use myself. I'll expose my family, and I'll use us as an example. We were on the Fairfax Stars, and we went to Fairfax Stars for exposure. And we loved the Fairfax Stars. We loved the coaches there. We loved everything. But I pulled out, and we didn't go for the second season. Not because there was anything wrong with Fairfax Stars, but because for that exposure, I was driving 2 hours out of my way, and then I'm expecting my baby to have good grades, and then I'm also expecting her to work an extra 90 minutes outside of practice, and then we're in the car for 2 hours. So in the final analysis, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to have to do grassroots here in Richmond. And because I personally can't get right now to Boo Williams, and I can't get to Fairfax Stars. So that extra exposure for me was not worth it, and because it was going to hurt development. And I think the balance is whenever you hurt development, that's when you need to pull back. Whenever it's hurting development, that's when you need to pull back. That's for me. That's the answer. But if it's not hurting development, I'm gonna promote, and guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna feel out every scout, and I'm gonna promote as much as possible. I'm a little sneaky because I'm never gonna promote directly to John. I'm gonna send somebody else to John to promote my kids. You know what I'm saying?
You want to explain the DVD you just had emailed to my house then?
But with that being said, as long as it doesn't hurt development, I think that's the balance. If you're hurting development, then I think that's the balance. But go ahead. I'm good.
All right, John.
Let's clear something up. Tony is implying that I assume it's all parents. No, I've said 100 times. 99% of sports parents are good, decent people. Like everything else in the world, it's that 1%. And my theory on that is, and based on personal experience, I know Fowler, you got me on Facebook. I'm teaching my youngest how to drive right now.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, don't get ahead of me. And it is horrifying. I mean, I have been on deployments less terrifying than this. And she's the best one of all my kids. But the reason it's horrifying is a lot of times the same way a lot of these parents act nuts. And it's for the first time in my life, for the most part, this child has control, and I can't reach. Well, I can reach over and grab the wheel, but there's only so much I can do. But she's making decisions, and it's horrifying. I had a full head of hair when I started, but that's why. So I understand. But I also don't condone some of the things that I see. For example, like I don't swear at my daughter. As hard as it is while she's driving, I won't yell or swear at her because I don't yell or swear at my child. Plus, it would do no good. But and being stressed out or nervous does not excuse that. That's how I look at parents. For the the development exposure thing, Matt, I really think, especially as they get older, kids need to be brought into this decision. I've talked to too many kids who have been in travel sports. I have a good friend of mine in travel sports. They've been travel softball their entire year, her entire life. She's coming up for her senior year and said she doesn't want to play travel ball anymore. She doesn't even want to play school ball because she doesn't want to play in college. They burned her out. She's been in travel sports since fourth grade, year round, and they burned her out. I think that these decisions need to be made with the kid. Sometimes you need to take a season off. Sometimes you need to pull back and not drive 2 hours each way. And I think a lot of these kids, I think if you got them on their own, I'm willing to bet a lot of kids would say they don't love basketball anymore. It's a job to a lot of these kids. And you see it over time that they start falling out of love. They start going through the motions. I think that development is fine, but you've also got to get the buy-in of the kid. They're the one going out there. They're the one putting in all the work. And I really think conversations need to take place with your kids to determine. Also, how much is it costing your family? I've heard people say, well, we haven't been on a vacation in 4 years. Why? Why? It's a whole picture thing, because at the end of the day, whether you...
That's why.
What?
Spooky Nook, that's why.
but at the end of the day, whether you have a child, you have a college athlete or not, you have an adult, a daughter, a son, and a family at the end of it, when it's all said and done. That's why I say it's more, I mean, even, I used to say 10th, 11th grade, but even younger now, you need to have these conversations. Do you want to play? Are you willing to make that commitment? If they can't give you an answer, and we all have teenagers, right? They'll give you an answer whether you ask for one or not most of the time. But I really think development and growth and exposure, kids need to have more say in that. You know how many accounts I get where kids, they send me stuff and it says ran by parent. And I just think to myself, does this kid even know about this account? Like, is this kid even, I trust me, I condone parents reaching out to me, not children, but I wonder how much control this kid has. And that's just something I've always said. I think we need to lean more into the kids, because we've all been in the stands and saw that kid who don't want to be there. I think development, I think as we get older, we need to include our kids more in this.
Yep.
Well, I'll respond real quick before I let you, Tony. I think my daughter's Instagram account says that, and
I don't follow her.
and I do track her account. Everything that goes through her account comes to my phone. But
As it should.
But she still has complete access to that account, and she knows all about that account. And I just make sure that I get what I need to get from that account.
You'll notice anytime I put up email me, it says, please attach a parent to this email. Mm-hmm. And that's the parents need to hear what you're being told and just attach a parent. If you message me, I'd rather you parent do it. But yes.
Yeah. All right, Tony, you got something you want to respond to that?
Well, I mean, that kind of goes along. I mean, with that thought, Brother John, that's kind of like what I mean. Because at the same time, we parents get attacked if we don't keep an eye on our kid in social media. You see what I mean? So then, so like it's
by me.
You're darned if you do and darned if you don't. Because if you keep an eye on your kid in social media, then you call controlling. But if you don't keep an eye on your kid, then you're just letting your kid be wild and be out there. And then next thing you know, your kid is, silly enough to pull post something stupid on there, and then their recruiting gets damaged because they posted something really harmful to themselves. So, like that's like another example of the criticism where you can do nothing right as a parent. Because if you control the account, then you can get criticized. If you don't control the account, things can get criticized. So that's another that's kind of like in line with what I was sharing. But I think this was a helpful conversation.
That wasn't a criticism as much as an observation, because I'm like David. My rule, my daughter is you're on my phone bill. I'll have access to your socials. And if I say hand me your phone up, hand me your phone. It's just the fact. I just wonder is like, why does this class of 2033 need an Instagram account managed by her parents for basketball? It's things like that. I wonder. You're in fifth grade. Why are we that? Why is that an issue? It could happen in 7 years. Like that's when I start questioning things. But I agree 100% on the Instagram account, and we could go days on what should and should not be posted by athletes, but we ain't got that type of time.
Yeah. Well, good conversation. Good conversation.
Absolutely.
Make sure y'all like and subscribe for the love of the game with Tony and Davis.
With segment 2, it talks about around the association, who can you trust with your kid? And there was a recent Yahoo article, and it concerns allegations involving a New York travel basketball program called the Saratoga Raptors. According to reporting on the cases, families paid roughly $500 to $1,000 each, expecting uniforms, practices, and tournament participation. The children reportedly practiced for about a month, but the expected uniforms and actual tournament schedule never materialized. A parent interviewed by the Times Union said he and his ex-wife lost $840, and roughly 40 players were involved between 12U and 14U. The program operator, Norbert Shidziaki, was arrested July 21st and charged with offenses including grand larceny and scheme to defraud. He denied the allegations, and the charges remain allegations rather than a conviction. So then this goes along with the other thing. Parents investigate. I like what Coach Dave wrote here. Parents investigate basketball programs less than they investigate a new refrigerator. So that's a good claim. I can say this. Hey, I guess because I am it's about to expire and I probably won't renew it, but I am a private investigator in Virginia. And that's not true of me. I checked my guys out. And to be honest with you, I'll be vague here for anyone listening, my kids have had probably over 14 to 16 coaches, so don't assume you know who I'm talking about. But I will say this, that NCAA security check don't catch everything, because I caught something that surprised me, and I let it go anyway because I did the research, but just, I think this is a big issue because, I think Coach Orr said this on one of his posts, and I agree with it. And this is where I was shouting amen, is that just because you played ball, that doesn't mean that you're a good organizer or that you know how to handle money or that you know how to lead people. And that's the problem, is some of these folks have great reputations as ballers, and then people think that the skill is transferable to organizationally leading something. And it's a mess out there.
I don't understand why organizations don't go through Safe Sport to clear coaches, because every year I maintain a Safe Sport, but every year you have to go through, it's one of those trainings you can't click through. You have to sit through the training and take tests. I don't understand why more organizations go through Safe Sport. But yeah, you got to do your due diligence. I mean, the dude's name was, he just built a lot of people, and that's a shame because a lot of the kids lost out. But you're exactly right. Due diligence has to be done. You just don't hand over a random human being $1,000 without some sort of proof.
Yeah.
I just think about it, it's funny, it's New York, because you just think of the fast talking New Yorker is kind of it's kind of the cliche, I guess. I don't know. That's the way they stereotype New Yorkers or whatnot. But to me, man, I mean, I've heard every pitch in the book when it comes to trying to get Italy to play for somebody or whatnot. And the one that I know that probably gets the most people is, your daughter can play Division One. Your daughter can play Division One. She's one of the top players and this and that. And all it takes is for the wrong person to hear that. And okay, this person, is going to make sure that my daughter goes Division One because I knew she was Division One already. I'm just saying that because that's what all parents tend to think is my daughter's Division One already. I know that my daughter has to put a lot more work in to be Division One. If she was Division One, she'd have an offer and all of that stuff. But anyway, most parents all say, Division. My kid's Division One already. I already know that. I've been telling them that for years. Now this person sees it, so I'm going with this person because they believe my daughter's Division One too. And that's just a scheme. So I can only imagine what this guy told these people to get 40 plus people to give him $1,000. But I mean, that's his yearly salary if he didn't deliver on anything. But not only did they lose their $1,000, they lost the whole summer of basketball. Because they're believing that they're going to play in these tournaments with this guy. And, if they didn't have enough money to come up with that again for the next team, then they did lose a whole summer. That was their summer's, budget. And so it's unfortunate that that's the name of the game. And John, I got you, but a lot of times it is former basketball players who are starting these teams and think because they played or even if they've been a part of AAU that they know that side of it. Yep. But you don't realize that there's so many things behind the scenes that need to be done to organize a program. And even some of the best programs, and I will attest to this, I'm not naming names, but even some of the best programs are very poorly organized. Yep. And it takes the right people in place to make sure that everything is executed the way it needs to be executed for it to be a positive experience and for it to actually be beneficial to all the kids that are involved. Because to me, all of them matter because everybody paid their money. Everybody's investing their time. You get money back, you can't get time back. And those kids lost the whole summer.
The biggest issue I take beyond that is no league, and I'll die on this hill, no league or team should require $1,000 up front to start. That is whatever happened to screen print reversible jerseys from the East Bay magazine. Mm-hmm. Like, why do you need $1,000? That's just that at its core right there is a problem because I guarantee you I'm preaching to the choir. That $1,000 didn't cover travel. It didn't cover tournaments. That was the get in the door on this team. Why did it cost $1,000? We could sit back, hindsight is 2020, but it cost $1,000 because people are used to paying that much money for their kid to play. I mean, a team needs a set of black and blue jerseys or home and away jerseys, reversible, and a warm up or a T-shirt. Why did that cost $1,000?
But John, all right, let me defend. I can't believe I'm defending AAU directors. But
that wasn't an AAU program. That was an upstart program.
I know, but what I'm trying to say at the same time, I will say this: you have to get gym space, you have to get insurance, you have to get checks for your coach. I'll just be honest with you: just about every AAU team in the Richmond area. Yeah, just about all of them. You're paying around $1,200 to $1,400.
Well, no, Tony, I don't think he's saying $1,200. Most of them have like a payment plan. You pay January, you pay $300.
Yeah, and if this is a startup program,
right? Okay.
Start simple. I understand gym space is insanely hard to get everywhere,
right?
But if this guy's starting this program, like insurance is on you. I ran gyms, but insurance. That does not fall on the person who's coming in. That should be built into your initial cost. I still maintain liability insurance for myself, but the point is it's $1,000 up front. That is, I don't know very many people, multiple children. That's ridiculous. I understand AAU and gym space and all that, and most AAU coaches are paid. But for a startup program, that's just ludicrous to expect anybody to come out of that up front.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty common now.
And 40 kids in 3 teams?
It is. To actually get 40 people because I mean, people do pay that much, and I mean, $1,000 actually sounds, kind of cheap compared to some of the teams. Like Tony was saying, at least $1,200 in the Richmond area. It's a lot of money to play, but to get 40 people to pay that amount of money kind of upfront. Now it looks like somebody lost 840, so they didn't pay their whole $1,000. So somehow they only paid 840 and didn't get rope a doped into the next 60
But
bucks.
that goes back to a bigger problem I have with travel sports, and I'll back this up. And we've all sat through them. Not everybody should be involved in travel sports. We have allowed rec leagues to be cannibalized to the point that they're a wasteland. Cities aren't funding rec leagues anymore because they don't bring in revenue. When a lot of these players and coaches should be in a recreational organization. How many games, maybe not how many games of 56-5 have you sat through? Or
I watched them.
You look at games where a 10-year-old's first organized basketball game is the AAU, is a travel game. Why? It goes back to this, that it's so watered down that it goes back to we need more regulations on travel. Honestly, we need more basketball regulations. I've seen so many teams that would not win at a YMCA, and these parents are paying, travel plus entry fee and tournament fees for a weekend to watch their kid get mud hole stopped 4 straight games. Who learned from that?
Mm-hmm. I agree. I've said it a million times how watered down AAU is, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think the NCAA needs to be as involved as they are in travel sports. But they're and because everything can be independent, and I mean, how do you regulate that? Because if it was AAU, then AAU would be the governing body. If it was YBOA, YBOA is the governing body. But I'm an independent tournament director, and I prefer to stay independent. Not so I don't get regulated, but because I don't have to be regulated in a regard of I don't have to. I had an opportunity to join somebody in partnership and run Puma tournaments. Now Tony knows that I absolutely despise Puma and their circuit, but I would never join them anyway, just because I can't justify. I couldn't sleep at night charging somebody $100 to get into my tournament. So I mean, I get that aspect, but then you have the people who prefer to be independent, so they're not regulated by AAU, they're not regulated by these things, and they can just go to whatever tournaments they want to, and then they can get away with doing things like this because they're not regulated. I don't know. I've thought of it a million times before. How could this be regulated? And I have no idea.
Well, I think you just lost that Puma endorsement for your show. They were probably going to reach out to you about it. Of all bodies, I wish USA Basketball would get involved. I played rugby when I was in the Navy and a couple years after that. In any rugby league, it was called SIP in, you had to pay $40 a year to be endorsed by USA Rugby. And they gave you insurance in return, but they played all the rules governing body. If you got hurt, you could file a claim through USA Rugby and they would help you out with it. I wish USA Basketball would speak up. I wish they'd do that for baseball too, with pitch counts, to where in boxing, USA Boxing, every time you fight, you have to sign a logbook to where you did this, this, and this. You have this many days before you can play again. I wish USA Sports would get involved more with these leagues, but especially USA Basketball, because it's a governing body that could oversee a lot of these tournaments, and it eliminates the sneaker teams coming in and all the other businesses coming in and turning it into private equity. It could be done, but nobody wants to take on the responsibility.
Yeah. I think sadly this is what's going to happen. The Wild Wild West is going to continue to grow and grow and grow and grow, and then sadly, some weirdo is going to do something awful to a whole bunch of kids, kind of like that guy in Michigan, that Michigan doctor who molested a whole bunch of kids. Mm-hmm. Once that happens, then it's going to create widespread reform. But sadly,
that's sad.
Yeah, it's going to get worse until something like that happens, and then once something like that happens, then everyone will be like, all right, we need an official. It needs to be official AAU, because y'all know that 60% of what people are calling AAU is not AAU.
AAU is a blanket statement, like Coke is a blanket statement for soda. AAU, and I mean, sometimes I worry about saying that but AAU is a blanket statement. But unfortunately, and that's sad, but unfortunately, it's going to, because we've had people get killed at tournaments. We've had referees being beaten to medical attention at these tournaments. Unfortunately, I think you're right. But again, it goes back to the kids suffering.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't think it's going to happen. I don't think it's going to get fixed before then. Sadly, we're going to go down that road. So.
Yeah. And I don't even with saying we need to have an AAU, I just don't see how you tell somebody you can't hold a tournament.
Yeah.
How do you tell, just use me. I mean, what would their approach be to me and say, hey, you got to stop holding your tournaments because you have to, if you're going to hold a tournament in the United States, you have to be under AAU or you have to be under USA basketball. I mean, there's no law to that. So how do you police that?
But here's how I see it unfolding, Coach Fowler. When the really, really awful, whatever that awful event happens, then 60 Minutes and all of Fox News and everybody will begin, quote unquote, educating their parents that, you need to go to an official sanctioned event. And then parents then will be like, well, I don't want to involve my kid in anything unless it's, quote unquote, an official event where everyone's been checked appropriately and da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
Because here's another thing that I don't think a lot of people know. Like, you get checked. I think a lot of these coaches, I'm a security guy, and I did a little bit of it because I wanted to start a business. And then that business that Coach Orr mentioned, kind of beat me to it. But you get checked when you go to the big tournament. Like if you're a coach going to one of those big tournaments, that's, like that you become NCAA. But a lot of these coaches that are coaching grassroots and especially the younger kids, I don't think they've been thoroughly vetted. I don't believe they've been.
I will tell you a personal story about a league I worked in here. I won't say their name, even though they could take me to court.
Right.
I worked in a league here as an official and I coached. And my buddy goes, "Hey man, I'm gonna need you to double up your games today." I was like, "Why?" He goes, "Because he ran the league." He goes, "I got to go coach a team." Now we're like week 5 into the season. He's like, "I got to coach a team." I'm like, "Why?" He goes, "Well, their coach failed a background check and they couldn't find a replacement." I looked at him and went, "When did they know he failed a background check?" And he failed a background check for some pretty serious charges. "Oh, they knew the second week of the season. They just couldn't find anybody to replace him." I'm like, "Are you going to tell these parents?" He went, "No, I've been told not to. Just told he quit for work-related stuff." And I'm sitting here going, bro, he went, and I'm like, you need to tell them no because now you're the face of that lie.
Yeah.
But they knew for 3 weeks that this guy, first of all, why'd you let him around the kids before he had a background check back?
Mm-hmm.
So he went through practices in the first and second game and practice then before they found out. And second of all, you're wanting to hide this from parents. The truth always comes out in the wash, but they did. They hid it from parents, and I'm sitting here going, like, he shouldn't have been allowed on the court with them children before a background check. But I know, and this is a well-known organization. I know it happens. Right. They're so hard to get volunteer coaches.
That's right. It's messed up.
And what one organization won't do, another organization will.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, you really don't think all those 6th, 8th, 7th graders are really 13, do you?
We know that's not true.
Come on, man.
He's reclassing.
They were late to the game because he had to pick up a Social Security check. Yeah, but it really is. Unfortunately, again, money is phasing a lot of these kids out. They're ruining a lot of kids because of it.
Yeah.
Some people make, and I don't understand this, why some people make conscious decisions. And I'll just give y'all a quick example. There was a director. He was a grassroots director that my family and I were involved in, and we believed in this guy. And, dude, if you're listening, he listens on a regular. Hey, I love you, dude. He's a good dude. But then he decided to bring in this coach that, and I just, I'm not trying to stereotype. Remember, I was talking about stereotypes, Coach Fowler. But, he brought in this coach who's like over 40, who's sagging, you know what I'm saying, and like sagging around the kids, and then he's got a do-rag on underneath the hat. And on top of that, I've seen him in at least three tournaments where he's cursing people out and screaming and freaking out and acting. And I'm like, why would you, like, just because he can get you some wins under certain circumstances, why would you compromise yourself and put yourself in that situation? Because you know you're going to have to explain his behavior at one of Coach Fowler's tournaments. Like, he's going to act, you're going to take him to Coach Fowler's tournament, he's going to act a fool, and then you're going to potentially get your whole organization kicked out. So I ended up leaving the organization because I just don't want my kids around that kind of leadership. You're not leading my kid when you act that way. And just so you know, anyone listening, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. Like, I'll listen for a little while. If you sagging and whatever else and you're talking like a leader or whatever else, I don't necessarily think that always coincides, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. But typically, I'll be honest with you, I'm a little biased here, you know. Once you hit in your late 30s, you know what I'm saying? Like, I just wonder, like, what you still doing sagging? You see what I'm saying? Like, at some point in life, you know, like,
you better be working a blue collar job that involves a tool belt.
Yeah,
it's funny you mentioned that, man, because I'm a stickler, and when I coached on the bench in schools, some of my assistant coaches didn't like it. I'm like, you're gonna at least have I'm not gonna ask you to tuck your shirt in, but you're gonna at least have your pants around your waist and you're gonna have a belt on. I want you, and you're wearing a polo, I want you to look like a coach.
Right.
I don't want a backwards hat on. If someone, especially when I coach teenagers, I don't want someone to walk in and think you're a student sitting on my bench. You need to carry yourself as, and I know a lot of places don't care, and that's their right, but I've always wondered, like, I see some of these coaches and I'm like, hat on backwards and flip-flops with a tank top on and cargo shorts. And I'm going, you're supposed to present a professional, mature approach. You're not supposed to be their boy. You're supposed to be an example. Like, when I came up, it seemed like my coaches were 65. Like, they always felt old, and they weren't people that you mess with.
Right.
Like, they weren't your homeboy. You didn't cut up with them. Now it's like this whole new, maybe the game is passing us by on that. I wonder sometimes about that. Like,
well, and here's the thing. That's why I try to stay open-minded, because, like, Coach Fowler will share, you know, he was real young when he started, and I'm sure he dressed crazy when he first started. But Coach Fowler will also tell you he's been in this 30 years, ain't been in the fist fight. You see what I'm saying? So, like, it shows that he may have dressed a little crazy when he was younger, but he didn't carry himself crazy.
You're absolutely right. We all have bad moments. I've been in a fist fight as a referee, but it was self-defense.
Right.
And only times I've intentionally got myself thrown out of 2 games. But I've intentionally got tossed as a coach from 2 games. And one was I'll take pride in this. It's late in the game, and this referee came wagging his finger in my face and goes, "One more word out of here, you, and you're gone. You understand me?" And we're up by like 15 points. And I leaned over, "You ain't got the guts to throw me out." Tossed me out. Well, it was because one of my players took a forearm in the throat, and I'm signaling for an intentional, and he didn't like that. So he came over to talk to me, and I'm like, but I digress. But it's benefit of the doubt is there. First impressions matter, but what I would drew the line is you don't curse at kids. If I'm a foul-mouthed individual, I'm a sailor, but you do not curse at kids. If you can't coach without cursing, you can't coach kids. I'm sorry. It's not kosher. It's not acceptable.
And see, I'll be honest with you, John. That was something that I worked on as my career advanced. I did have that Bobby Knight mouth early in my career. Never called anybody out of their names, but I did have a foul mouth, and I didn't have much of a filter. I didn't have a switch to cut it off. I mean, I curse now, but I don't know if Tony's ever heard me curse. No student that I've ever taught has heard me curse, because I have that switch, which probably means that I could stop cursing if I chose to, because I can cut it off when I want to. But that was something as I was younger that I did have an issue with, and I've always carried myself, and I think that goes along with what did I get in it for, and that's what with these guys that are coaching nowadays. What are you getting in it for? Because if you're getting in it to try to teach kids and to guide kids and to lead kids not to make some of the mistakes you may have made, or you grew up in the same areas they grew up in, and you want better for them than you had. Those type of things. If you're in it for those right reasons, then you're not cursing, you're not sagging, you're carrying yourself professionally, you're doing those things. And although I was very young-minded when I got into it, I was young, and I was young-minded. So I made mistakes throughout my coaching career, but I always tried to carry myself in a presentable way because I knew what I was in it for. And if these people that are former players that want to coach for whatever reason, it should be because, hey, somebody poured into me, I want to pour into somebody else. It should be that reason. Or, this guy that stole $1,000, what was his reason for getting into this thing? Why? If your reason's not to pour into somebody and to try to give them better than maybe what you had, then you're in it for the wrong reasons. It's disrespectful to the game, and that's what I don't tolerate. Is the name of this podcast has a meaning, and I don't like people who disrespect the game.
And that's exactly what it is. I would love to sit down and ask some of these coaches, what's your end goal for you? Like, you can't coach forever.
Mm-hmm.
What is your end goal with this? Are you trying to use this to springboard into a high school job? What is the end goal? Because you can't, it's different. That's the thing I always want to know. Like, and why did you leave this program to come to that program is always another question I asked. But it's, you're not doing it for the money. You're definitely not doing it for the money. So I don't understand, I don't get the motives either, but I agree with you. If it's not the kids, what for? If it's not to teach the game right, why are you doing it? I coach the way I coached because my first high school coach treated everybody like absolute garbage. And I said I would never, if I ever got a bench, I would never do that. My second high school coach was great. And I'm the way I am because with officials and parents, because my first job was a referee. And 15 years old, and I got zero. My training was, here's a whistle, go call the game. Mm-hmm. In a church league, and I got zero grace. Wow. I was physically assaulted at 15 by a parent in a church league.
Wow.
But that set the tone for how I am. So I agree 100% with what you're saying.
Fowler, you have any closing?
I think this episode speaks for itself, man. They don't need any closing thoughts from me this time. I think it speaks for itself. Everything that's been said, I think, kind of ties into knowing, who's working with your kids, what program you're getting involved with, and then if make sure that they have a common interest, in promoting your kids and how you promote your kids. But I also think that there's a good lesson to know is that you can agree to disagree because at the end of the day, Jon is a scout. He does scout for Prep Grow Hoops, and we all want our daughters to, be recognized by Jon and the other scouts that are involved with them and any other scouting service. But at the end of the day, I think sometimes taking some of their advice, because I'll be honest with you, I think Rasheen would probably say some different things than Jon says. Without a doubt.
We've had Rasheen all the time.
We've had Rasheen on, and so I think anytime you speak to them, that they may have differences of opinions as well. So I think it's important to understand that you can, what's good for one person isn't for the other. So I think it's okay to agree to disagree.
Well, I'm glad this conversation went this way because my wife, I'll be honest with you, my wife is very upset at me for having this conversation because she was like, so you're going to go and get into an argument with a scout and we're trying to get our kid noticed. You know what I'm saying?
Don't worry, I've already emailed her to put your butt in check. So, yeah.
So my retort to that was, Kim, you know how I'm made. I can't go.
What's-
I can't yell at the screen for 4 years, and you know what I'm saying. And like, you know, I'm gonna have to go.
The thing is, it's not an argument. To my opinion, I tell people all the time, my opinion is not law. You just said it with Rasheen. Rasheen and I work for the same company. We disagreed on a player at the combine. But the thing is, take that as a lesson that your child, God willing, will be scouted by hundreds of people over their career.
Yep.
And I guarantee you, not 2 people will scout them the same.
Amen.
Take the good, learn from the bad, throw out the garbage.
Amen. 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 Well, Kim will be very happy with me that I did not, get too crazy or things.
I'm gonna post a video. I was verbally assaulted by Tony's speech for Instagram.
You're on his next little individual video that he posts. So you get ready for it, Tony. If he's talking about that one psycho dad, there it is.
God, verbally.
This psycho dad challenged me.
Yeah. Well,
No, it's not that when they come at me, I kind of laugh, but some get like that one. I'm like, bro, I've never even seen you, but now you want me to come look at your child? Like, you gonna come up and shake my hand like we cool after that? Like, nah, man.
well,
But that's the beauty of the game is everybody has different opinions. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, well, like I said, I got beat up in Muay Thai this morning because of them crazy parents as well. You know what I mean? Because I got to get ready for them. You know what I'm saying? So,
I stopped. I do cardio. I teach cardio boxing classes now, but I stopped fighting when I picked up my 4th concussion a couple years ago. When the doctor said that's the 4th one you've told us about, that was kind of like, yeah, I probably should stop.
Yeah.
Well, I have a good time because my guy, his name is he's a Richmond legend. His name he's a real ninja. Like his name is Chop Chop, and but he's really little, so he will just tear me. He'll kick the mess out of me and he'll hit me, but it doesn't really hurt me that bad, But it's
That's his choice.
Yeah. I'm sure he says, well, Tony, Big Tony, I could tee off on you if I wanted to, so.
The gym I ran boxing out of in North Carolina, the crew there was a 4'9" Thai woman. And when she kicked you, it felt like you were hit with Brady Cable. So, yeah.
Man.
Well, I'm feeling it a little bit now, but hey, what you call it? I think it's good for you. It's good for you. It's good. It's good to train. It's good to train.
Or you could just move away from those parents, but go off, man.
Hey, here's the thing. I gotta keep my top secret clearance, and I've already told my bosses. I said because we have this thing called mitigation, where if you get in trouble, you can keep your job, but you have to mitigate the fact.
Yeah.
Out. And I was like, I'm gonna need some. I got 6 years left. I'm gonna need some mitigation before before Nadia turns 18, because the chances of me going through all of that without one thing happening is kind of because I will say this: every 18 months, I run into a totally insane parent, and I've been able to de-escalate twice, but still it could have gone left in both instances. You know what I mean? Because there's just some crazy folks out there that there's just some crazy folks out there, and you have to deal with a lot of them, John.
It's only going to get crazier, unfortunately, man, with the transfer portal being what it is and the business of college hoops. And it's only going to get a little crazy. Like you said, it's going to get worse before it gets better.
Well, here's what I ain't ready for. I mean, hopefully if my babies can, hard work and they continue to grow and everything, and they get to that level. Coach Fowler, are you ready to sit up in the stands and have people talk trash about your Italy? You see what I'm saying? Like when she gets to college and
I do already in the tournaments. I sit behind them.
Yeah.
Listen, I get every time that John watches her play, I at least get I never get a text. Oh man, that was nice what she just did, or man, she really did this. I get. Tell her to make her layup next time, or tell her that.
Well, no, I did tell you. I said she could take a punch. That one game when she got caught in the mouth, she took a right hand to the mouth like a pro. I've never seen. I don't know how that girl didn't get tossed. To be honest.
Wow.
No, she took on the baseline. She took a shot. Like the girl, in all reality, should have probably been thrown out. All she got was she got a flagrant and an intentional.
Yeah.
He hauled off on the baseline and popped her in the mouth, and poor Italy was giving up easily 35 pounds.
Wow.
Oh yeah, it was. I would have, as referee John would have tossed her because you couldn't tell me that was an accident.
Yeah.
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 But yeah.
Well,
It's a brand, it's a bucket. Courtney, talk to him. Yeah. Logo range lights dimming up. First shot hit like a thunder shot. Net sing low in that echo box. Same form, same art, that more to drop. Head up, she don't never rush. Read like she reading books. One fake, whole defense shook. Find the cutter that you overlook. High IQ in a small frame. Call out threats like she call names. Seize your trap from a mile away. Turn your scheme to a hallway lane. Court vision. She see the cut before you cut. Court vision. She drop a dime, then drop a jumper. Court vision. You think you there, she there first. From the logo, make the whole crowd burst.
Coach Fowler will tell you that Dejanay Carrington was an accident. No,
Listen, I believe she was going for the ball initially, and then she realized she wasn't getting that ball, so she just went with the hard foul.
Here's the thing, though, and yeah, they've been rough on Caitlin Clark and all these, but that's been consistent for the last 30 years of the WNBA. Just now we're seeing it. Because Diana Taurasi sent out a tweet because y'all remember when I broke both my cheekbones my rookie year? Because she took a forearm in the face. It's been like that for the refereeing and the physicality of the game have been like that for years. It's just now getting a light shown on it.
Yeah.
But
Jess Hicks and Vicky Bullock talked about the elbows back in the day.
Oh yeah, I remember at your combine, she was showing one of the girls. I'm like, good Lord, she goes, yeah, we can leave because I can leave a bruise on your sternum. I'm like, I believe you. You ain't gotta do it. It's always girls basketball is inherently rougher. I don't care what you say. Girls basketball is rougher.
Yeah. I think it's because they play. It's all below the rim. And I think that's why it leads to that intensity, you know what I'm saying, where it has to be more, it's on the floor, most of it's on the floor. So I think that's what leads to that.
It also shows the double standard. They're crucifying Dejanay Carrington, but people love when Draymond Green does crap like that.
Yeah. Well, at first I thought she was ridiculous on that. And I was like, man, I can't believe she's surprised she got kicked out. But then I will say she has a point. Because then when I went back and I watched the video of Cece doing that, and then also Sophia Cunningham doing that, and they didn't get kicked. They didn't.
Okay. But Cunningham, you're talking about last year?
Cunningham did get kicked out, but
he got kicked out. Clark didn't.
Yeah, but Clark didn't. So I was like, I see her point where they seem like they do have some inconsistencies there, and there might be some bias there. That they're not fully aware of. So I think she might have a point there. So,
but I don't know if you could justify once in any sport, man. Once you start getting up around the neck and throat, I think you got to go because that's just there's too much. When you start getting that spinal cord, there's too much you can do.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So all right, my brothers.
All right, man.
Any closing thoughts?
I'm good. I just gave mine.
Okay.
I'm gonna message your wife about your behavior, Tony.
Well, she'll be glad that I did not. What do you call it? I didn't get crazy.
That's not what I'm gonna tell her.
But hey, it was great talking to y'all. All
right, man. Thank you.
A different perspective.
Yes, sir.
And
I will go, man.
I will yell at the screen much less. All right, I'm going to yell at the screen much less now.
You ain't the only one.
All right, have a good one.
All right, man. Later.
That's all, folks.